The one of one is missing.
I knew something was up.
Pop, that's almost twice as much going for the same price.
I just freaking love that rated rookie logo.
Doing more buy-ins.
Which one of these 5 quarterbacks has the worst set of pass catchers to throw the football to?
Guess how much I sniped this for an auction?
Number to 5, you dirty animal.
I'm telling you, these optic on-card autos are money.
Football cards collecting and investing. Andy, it is the year of the backup quarterback. And, of course, we're going to talk about C.J. Stroud and all the new releases coming up, plays of the week, all a part of the NoOffSeason.com network. But, Andy, I think we've witnessed one of the all-time greatest flips of one player thanks to the great Monday night performance from Jake Browning. Andy, just a month ago, you could buy his draft picks autos for $5 out the door. Show the people, Andy, what they're going for right now.
Good Lord, $5 out the door a month ago. Not even a month ago, Carter. And now $305 in auction today. We're talking reactionary, not morning after the big Monday night overtime win. And boom, baby. Talk about a flip.
305 off a $5 purchase. Now, I can't say I've gotten one of those off in my life, but it wasn't like this one. It is the year of the backup quarterback. And this is even, for those that are listening via podcast form, this is college uniform cards, Andy. So it makes it even more ridiculous.
Yeah, even more ridiculous. I'm even looking at the college ticket auto from Contenders Draft Picks. Here you have September 24th, $8.50 auction, $10 out the door, and a peak last night in a well-timed auction of $154 plus $5 shipping, $160, maybe with tax, more like $175 out the door.
Jake Browning. And here's the thing about it, Andy, is we know he's not the guy in Cincinnati. So if you are buying these cards at these prices, even at $250 BIN, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish with this college uniform autograph card for a team that he's not the guy? I do think it does help that these cards are numbered, the draft pick ones at least. But man, it just goes to show you, Andy, if you got backup quarterback autos and they're still alive, don't just sell them. Hold those bad boys. I still got some Will Greer sitting over here.
Yeah, you gotta hold those guys just because, the possibility's there. Look at it, and it also goes back to the less playing time that they've had in actual NFL games, the more fear of missing out it can create. It's like go back to Mike White or earlier in the season, you got all the rookies popping off. Man, the less playing time they have, the better. So Mitchell Trubisky is getting a start this Thursday night. He's a backup quarterback. They're playing the Patriots. If you can't beat them, come on, Trubisky guys. You guys got to be chomping at the bits for Trubisky to get a shot at the lowly Patriots this Thursday night in a primetime island game. But see, the thing is, Trubisky's had all this NFL playing time. It's like, where's the fear of missing out? Even if he has a decent to good game, it's like we've seen that before. We've seen a lot of that before. We haven't really seen much of Jake Browning at all.
And then leads into like what other backup quarterbacks we know for sure. C.J. Beathard. I watched him. He moved the football. He looked okay last night. And it does help having some of the weapons that he has to work with Calvin Ridley, Parker Washington, who was a reason why Trevor got hurt, partially. Those look like some good pieces, Christian Kirk and those guys. So I think C.J. Beathard, the pride of Iowa, could be that next backup QB. But at this point, Andy, what I'm going to do is, especially if I can get college uni autos for $5 out the door, I'm just going to go scour pretty much every backup quarterback situation that's out there. So look there, you got some people loading up on CJ. Let's go.
Yeah, the snipers are out, man. Look at them picking up the CJs today, this morning. They're still pretty cheap, so this is like pre-breakout, pre-breakout prices for CJ. If you think with the weapons in Jacksonville, depending on how long Trevor's going to be out, uh, this could be interesting. So obviously, you can see a lot of sold volume for him.
CJ. Yeah, that's the thing. If your name is CJ, you got a chance to be a good quarterback in the NFL. So there you go.
You've also got iconic rookie cards too, man. 2017 rookie class is a bit legendary. So you got the highest prices in the modern day market from 2017.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, so forth and so on. So
Alvin Kamara, the list goes on, and it's such a loaded product. But yeah, so the 2017 Prism rookies, baby, all of them silvers. Let's go. But yeah, a lot of backups balling out. As we said to Chad, Frankie, he's bringing up the Minshew mania. I like Gardner Minshew, but when you get 2 block punts in a game, I mean, Tennessee quickly fired their special teams coach after that. So, Andy, as far as football cards are concerned, we are one day closer to Christmas time. And I know it's a little counterintuitive here, but a lot of people during the holiday season, they don't have football card money, right? What I think happens during this time, Andy, is people are buying other Christmas items. And I think also sealed wax gets really popular this point of season because a lot of dads are buying a bunch of not just current product, but what better way to really surprise your kid than to get a 2020 sealed wax box. So I think a lot of people are buying sealed wax. I think right now could be a good time to target some singles of some good players on the downturn.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes is one of those guys. He hasn't really dipped as much as I would have expected. So I'm not quite buying the dip yet. I think he might dip a little bit more depending on how these next couple weeks play out. But we've still got the base rated rookie raw, which some people say they won't touch raw Patrick Mahomes rookie cards because it's just too high of a chance that this could be a fake or reprint. Yeah. So a lot of people go after the grade. And if you look at the 180-day trend, so that's a 6-month trend on the Patrick Mahomes rookie card, they're only down 10, 13%. That prism, that iconic prism in PSA 10 is only down to a trend of 3,600. See a couple auctions recently around $3,000. So I think if they may continue, if you look at the 1-year chart, right now is where I think they may dip under $3,000. That may be a pretty decent spot to buy in at if he still is going to make that deep playoff run. And I mean, odds are ever in his favor for, getting back to the Super Bowl. I mean, that card's got $4,000 or $5,000 potential. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously this Kansas City offense looks bad. And I think some of it is, Kelsey's up there in age, but the wide receiver grouping, as crazy as it sounds, is probably a bottom 5 wide receiver core in the entire NFL. I know it just sounds, it doesn't sound right, but it is right. What's very interesting for me, Andy, is the guy that has continued to exceed expectations is Tua. And there was always a big discussion on this channel about Tua. I'm very anti-Tua. I think he's a good quarterback, not great. I was wrong. He's a very, very good quarterback who happened to find just the absolute best system and has one of the best wide receivers in the NFL to throw the football to. But, Tua is one of the few guys, Andy, where there was an opportunity to buy really low on him with the injury scare and the concussion thing. And you could have done, a market analysis on Tua and see that he was under the other 2020 rookie quarterbacks. And, so far so good for him.
Well, I want you to help explain this to me, Carter, or I want to ask you because
Let's
you
hear
look
it.
at the 30-day PSA 10 sold trends for Tua compared to Jordan Love. Jordan Love right now is one of the hottest risers. He's not necessarily hit 1-year highs yet, but he is on the way big time. As you can see in like the base prism, up 50% over the past 30 days to a new trend of $70 compared to the base prism for Tua. That's actually down 7% over the
Interesting.
past 30 days to a trend of $56. No, Tua over the past 30 days has actually not gone up. You can see the beginning of the season, the hot start. He goes up to like that Jalen Hurts type range, $126 buy it now. But now we're like in this $85 buy it now range, $51
Wow.
auction last week, and even I think just like today and yesterday, $65 auction yesterday's, $56 auction last night, $52 auction last night. Look at all these auctions
Wow.
ended last night for around $50 for that card. And that is something I've seen across the board for Tua, which is really odd, man, that things like
Yeah.
his Optic Hollow, his Prism Silver, the base Prism, PSA 10, where Jordan Love's going up. Tua has kind of flatlined or gone down a little bit, and I'm not sure quite what to make of it.
Well, let's take a look at his rookie ticket auto. Pull that up.
Okay.
Because I an auto might be a little bit different when it comes
Yeah.
to this. But yeah, it's still crazy to me that happened. I would have assumed his PSA 10s are up, but look, that's still not. I would have thought for sure that would have been these rookie ticket odds would be in the 1,000 range, right? With Herbert consistently being in that range. That is so interesting to me, Andy.
Yeah, it is to me too. I think you might be competing with a smaller fan base in Miami, compared to Green Bay. And obviously they got a lot of quarterback, lore in Green Bay. So it's like, I guess Miami really hasn't had a like famous quarterback since Dan Marino. I mean, I'm sure there's probably been somebody in between there, but these Jordan Love prices, they're I'm gonna try and find something really comparable, like maybe this blue at a 75. That's still probably that's a PSA 10 that went for 1,200 in a buy it now. So the Jordan Love rookie ticket autos are still pretty favorably priced, like compared to obviously Burrow and Herbert, but I would think that Tua would be higher, as they are right now the number one seed in the AFC. They're tied with the Ravens at 9-3, and they look like one of the best teams in the AFC.
I want people in the chat right now because I wanted to get to Jordan Love here. I should have checked this. I would have assumed Tua would be way higher, but it could just be, people just not as bullish on cards. It could be that. But type Y for yes, type in for no. Are you a Jordan Love believer? Has he done enough to change your opinion? But as you'll see on your screen right now, that Justin Herbert's still well over a K, and he's not playing well at all. They put up 6 points this past weekend. So yeah, for me, I felt before the season Jordan Love could play. I didn't think he was special, but he is playing really well right now, and it shows you what a good situation could do for you.
There you go. I mean, look at Jalen Hurts. He's about neck and neck with Justin Herbert right now. I mean, because this is a PSA 9, but same exact card. PSA 9, Auto 10, almost 1,400, DC Sports 87 auction, which are a great gauge of market value. And then you have a buy it now of an HGA 9.5, same exact card for Jalen Hurts that sold in the buy it now for 1,400. So really neck and neck between Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert at this point. But Jordan Love, Tua definitely lagging behind. And let's just for science here, let's look up Joe Burrow in the name of science.
Pull it up. For me, I'm loving it because I hold a lot of 2020 sealed wax over here, and obviously 2020 is my favorite rookie class ever with Burrow and Jefferson being in there. But look at Burrow still in the 4K, 3K range for rookie ticket autos. Now that was rare rookie ticket autos, but look at that. That is insane how much people still love Burrow. So there's not really been a real dip for Joey at this point.
No, I'm not seeing it. $1,500 buy it now raw from Hoodies Consignments. That's a buy it now too. Well, here's an auction. Here's a good one. PC Sports Cards, another big consignment auction that ended last week for Burrow at 1,200. But I mean, these are, it's still twice as much. Obviously, it's gone down a lot, but that's what people are looking at. They're looking at the 90-day sold, and they're like, "Wow, man, this card was just 2,500 2 months ago." So let's go ahead and buy one at 1,100. It may go down a little bit more, but I think we're probably pretty close to what the bottom is, because people are going to start buying back into Joe Burrow. Obviously, as you can see here, people are now buying buy it nows, like some auctions and stuff. So I can see this card kind of going back up as we get into free agency and draft. I really hope that the Bengals don't lose T. Higgins and that he comes back strong next September. There's possibility that his cards could dip pretty significantly throughout the summer if we don't get any news and he goes on one of these retreats where he just is totally quiet.
Right? Yeah, I think T. Higgins is going to be on a new team next year, but what you don't know is, with my Joe Burrow sources, is that they've already told Joe Burrow that they're building around Jake Browning for the future. So be ready for that. Breaking news: Joe Burrow to the Saints.
Some hobbyists are buying Jake Browning like that's the case.
I know it's still crazy. We welcome everybody into the Football Card Quest. We go live every Tuesday. Please hit the subscribe, ring the bell. We're making you a better football card buyer, seller, collector. So if you're experienced or if you're new, we appreciate each and every one of you. Now, Scatter 23 has been rocking with us for a while, Andy. I'm not going to get out a tiny violin. I'm going to get out a giant violin. In fact, I want to get out a harp for him, because he went to that Patriots game in the rain on Sunday, a 6-0 dumpster fire of a game. Scatter 23. What were you thinking when
Good
you
Lord.
went to that game? Scatter, I wouldn't trust you to build a family. I wouldn't trust you as a coworker if you had that level of judgment to go to a 6-0 football game. But there you go.
Now, I was at the Bucks game. And it was 7-10 at halftime. Or no, it was a 7-3. But because we got a bunch of rain at the end of the first quarter, but then the rain stopped and Mike Evans came to play.
I think out of any individual performance this year in the NFL, Mike Evans is the most fascinating. Okay. And to be him and Jerry Rice are the only ones with 10 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. The fact that you have the best season of your career with Baker Mayfield lets me know not only that you're an all-time great, you also, for my college football fans, maybe the Manziel mania was a little overrated and Mike Evans just made Johnny Manziel look really good, which isn't fully the case. But I think Mike gets overshadowed for his college career as well, Andy. So, yeah, Mike Evans, dude, I know you got a Mike PC, man. The dude just keeps freaking balling.
Yeah, his rookie autos are really expensive too, man. Yeah. Like you find people buying college uniform rookie autos, Mike Evans. I mean, all over $100. I mean, just like cars that are like, ew, that's ugly, but it's got his rookie autograph on there from 2014. You got a lot of like really just weird top sets from 2014, and they all sell, man. Mike Evans rookie autos, National Treasures. I saw sold for like $500 the other day.
Ooh.
So Yeah, I've got a Prism rookie auto red numbered out of 35 that I'm holding on to, and I sold a red Prism. It wasn't serial numbered, but I picked it up on trade night at the National for
Yeah.
$30 cash from that guy, and I sold it to a guy on Instagram that reached out to me. I sold it to him for 60, so I made a double up on it. He submitted it to PSA. It came back a 10,
Oh,
and he just sold it for some ungodly amount, and he's like and he's like messaged me about it, and I'm like, oh man, that's a good one, that's a good one.
it jammed.
Yeah, Jim.
Oh
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
it jammed. Oh my goodness, Andy. Let's get to a few of these comments here. What to do, Andy, if you're a Trevor Lawrence collector? Because we got quite a few of those that consume your content.
Man, Trevor Lawrence 2021 rookie cards, they are tricky, man, because there's so many of them, and there's a big variance between the rookie autos and the base cards. And then a lot of people grade chase those base cards, and it's not just the base cards, it's more like the optic hollows, the prism silvers. For Trevor Lawrence, things like the optic green velocity, those laser parallels, the cracked ice parallels are very popular. Those would be the cards that I would want to hold on to, especially if they're in PSA 10 condition. I mean, obviously, Trevor Lawrence is the hype is going to return. That's the beautiful thing about football cards is he might be, you might be out of your fantasy football league at this point with playoffs going down this week. I mean, you might be screwed, but with football cards, you just hold on to them. It's unfortunate. Maybe you were hoping to flip the card right away, but now you just hold on to it, understanding that the hype is going to return.
There are so many Trevor Lawrence cards. I do agree that I wouldn't necessarily go chase autos because those do get really expensive. But something not only you brought up, but Chad brought up in the chat, there are so many cool little parallels, right? That you could get, and you could get those anywhere from the $30 to $50 range, and you could see that go up when he actually comes back, so you don't have to spend an arm and a leg on an auto. But yeah, I really do believe Trevor Lawrence is going to come back and be fine. And judging by the reports early, it doesn't look too serious, and he could make a return to the Jaguars this year. So yeah, you see some of these on the screen right now. A lot of these were trending down anyway, Andy.
Yeah, over the past 180 days, he's definitely trending down 25% on the orange lasers. I just come in here and I filter by total sales so I can see which cards have sold the most. So you get the base ones, but then you start to find some interesting data because you're like, all right, which of these colored parallels has the best sold data here? And out of the PSA 10s, and the interesting thing is his PSA 10 hit rates are really low, but you
Right.
find things like the green mosaic at a trend of $90. Like, oh, that's pretty good for a mosaic. So, that's got some popularity, the reactive blues, blues, greens, even orange lasers. There's actually quite a few color parallels that go well with Jaguars uniforms that people like even red cracked ice prism for an average of $450 is pretty impressive. I mean, you look at the 1 year total sales, 47. So, I mean, like that's not bad. And he really hasn't dipped a whole lot yet. Like that card's still holding pretty strong. It's not like before the season where it sold for 700 there, 577, 580 in auction on August 26. Now we're down to 311. I think these could dip even more. And these would be the cards that I target. Try and pick up one of these. Like this green velocity right here is another nice one. This one's actually dipped down 40, almost 40% in the past 180 days. And look at that chart with 38 sales. So you got to ask yourself, whether you like red cracked ice or green velocity. I think either one of them are safe, but it almost seems like the cracked ice is maybe a little bit more desirable there for Trevor than the green velocity, or maybe it's just the Prism brand, especially when you combine the Prism brand with the PSA 10 grade that was so hard to get for Trevor Lawrence in 2021. That's where, you get those type of show card prices, man.
Green velocity looks way better, and I get that rated rookie logo. I just love the look of that card, but people love cracked ice. That is just one thing that people love. You know what they say? Crack kills. People freaking people love it. But there you go. Tank Dell goes down. Yeah, that obviously stunk. I'm a huge Tank Dell guy. I will be buying the dip on some of his stuff. He got hurt blocking as a fullback, essentially, Andy. I don't know if you saw the play or not.
Tank Dell's a beast, man. I'll be buying that dip all day long. But I did hit the nail on the head, man. I wrote up Nico Collins this past Friday, and in our Auction Sniper article for our premium members. So it's like perfect timing. Nico goes off in the Tank Dell absence. So like clearly, if there's no Tank Dell out there, Nico's going off. And Nico was kind of battling some health issues. And so now it's wheels up for him. And he's still pretty cheap because he's also a 2021 rookie with decent draft capital. And he's got a lot of cards. So, you see all this sold volume, but that's a precursor to the prices going up. It's always important to like filter lowest and highest to see what your top and bottom ranges are for any given card that you're looking at over the past 90 days. You can do that in eBay. Anybody can do that. He doesn't have much of a graded market, so it's not like a whole lot of data you can get from the graded market. For a guy like Nico or even Tank, eventually Tank's market will evolve to where it's more like Nico's. But Nico's is really you should focus on the rookie autos in that $20 range because those are going to go up.
Nico freaking Collins can play. I had not one but two CJ Nico stacks this past weekend, and I lost to the Dak Prescott CeeDee Lamb stacks. And two, like, I'm not even talking about daily where stacking is everything. I'm talking about home leagues. The CD Dak stack got me. And I have disavowed Thanksgiving as a holiday because of it, because it really has tore me up. But yeah, let me ask you about Dak Prescott and his market, because I will say this. At this point, Brock Purdy is in the MVP race, okay? But I think you could make a strong case that Dak Prescott ends up winning the NFL MVP. And his football cards, Andy, have always been weird, right? Because it was the year 2016. We always had this controversy. Were his autos really his autos, or were they stamped by like a machine stamp or something like that? And now there's always the playoff narrative with Dak Prescott, which I think it's a little silly, if you ask me. So yeah, I don't know. I'm contemplating if Dak really is going to win this MVP, but I'm also kicking myself for not buying some of his football cards a few years ago when I had an opportunity.
He's on a run, man. This is the time. Dak investors, Dak collectors are happy because his prices have gone up, and we're looking at a 180-day trend. So from before the season, if you were buying them then till now, you are happy with your Dak stock. They have gone up about 40%, interestingly, on that select to a new trend of 75. But you look at like his optic hollows are up to almost $200. The Prism is up just a tiny bit to a trend of 190. And then we look at his rookie auto market, playoff ticket rookie auto. This one is actually numbered out at 25, but it's a BGS 9 auto 10, $760. There's been a lot of sold volume for Dak Prescott over the past couple days. And yeah, his prices are going up. This is a chance. I think they're going to keep going up here the way they're playing. But if they fizzle out of the playoffs, there might there might be a lot of people that write Dak off as, the new Kirk Cousins just in Dallas. So it'll be interesting. I think this is his shot in his career. This is the best I've ever seen him play. And they've really figured out a way to unlock CeeDee Lamb, and they've got some good talent around him, as well as you've seen Brandon Cooks has stepped up over Michael Gallup for good reasons. You see Jalen Tolbert getting more involved a little bit. Tony Pollard is still alive there. So I think Dallas is on a big run. And, this is his shot, man, to keep going up.
Now, I had this written down for my play of the week because we don't normally do we normally give you a player to go buy for play of the week, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it now because I kind of wanted to cliff notes it towards the end. There is this big game versus the Eagles, all right, and everybody's going to be watching it, right? It's for the NFC South, so it's not quite a playoff game. It's also not quite a Super Bowl, right? But this is huge. This is as big of a regular season game you're going to see, right? Philly has played just the absolute most murderer's row of games in a row, right? A few weeks ago, big Monday night win over the Chiefs. The next week, big win over the freaking Bills. Then they play the 49ers, and now they play the Cowboys, right? Dallas, if you really look at that Philadelphia matchup, they did not get any lucky breaks to go their way. The Eagles really got the lucky breaks to win that game. And Dak still almost drove them down for a game-winning drive. I'm just telling you right now, understand there's Dak collectors that watch this. If they do beat the Eagles, that might be your time, right? If you were looking to sell some of it, because I would not trust the Cowboys in the playoffs for whatever reason, okay? Andy, I think that could be a sell high moment for Dak this weekend.
I think it could too. Right now, especially when the Eagles have been kind of beaten up right now, right? They're kind of beaten up. They're probably a little down on themselves because they started out that game really strong against the 49ers. They were ferocious in the first quarter, and then the 49ers adjusted and did this and that, and then all of a sudden scored on every drive and were just gashing them up. And Jalen Hurts even got a little banged up, had to leave temporarily. And now they got this Sunday night, another primetime game where they could be potentially exposed in the secondary with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. The way these guys have been playing, it's going to be super, super interesting because this is a big, big statement game, man. So this may be a sell high moment after the Eagles, because I do see some people in the chat talking about the Cowboys stretch of games. Then they do go at Buffalo, at Miami, Lions at home. So this is a tough 4-game stretch coming up for them. And it could either propel Dak's cards up a lot, or this could be a sell high moment in this Eagles game. They're definitely out for blood, man. They want their revenge after the way that game ended last time, like you mentioned.
I would be ready to sell some of that Dak because look, you see the keep 'em, and if you want access to Andy's charts on the Keep 'em app, it's all part of your Discord Patreon subscription. You can join us below. But normally when you see these keep 'em players, rarely do you see a player who's up everywhere. And Dak Prescott was up everywhere in pretty much every single card. So this could be your opportunity if you are a Dak holder to make some money, even if they lose potentially, and Dak goes out there and just balls out. So, but if they win, could be a good opportunity for you.
Yeah, and when you zoom into the 30-day window, you can see even more of a trend up. So, honestly, you look at the best time to have bought Dak, and just looking at that gold standard Prism PSA 10, is really, there's a lot of sold data, 232 sales in the past year. But if you look at that, November 6th, $107 auction. Well, if we zoom in here to the past month, look at that chart up from 107 at the beginning of November to now 193, 236 in auction last night. So talk about a big time increase if you were just buying in. That's why I focus on, and I love the quick flips. I'm not trying to, hold long term on most of these guys except for Big Mike. That's my PC, so that's my PC, and everybody else, I look at them as quick flips. So I'm constantly looking at the data to see, all right, what is the 1 year low on this guy, and where's he at compared to that, and then what is our next 3 to 4 games look like, and can I paint a picture to where the hype can get like this for Dak? And I mean, we've seen this in so many different cases this year. There's been so many guys that have gone up over these 3 to 4 week stretches like this. And as they get younger and they get more of a rookie, or like Jake Browning, where they just haven't played much and people get that fear of missing out, or FOMO, I mean, the card prices just go up exponentially.
We have some interesting comments coming in. Here comes Kent. Justin Fields rumors, Tampa, Atlanta, Seattle. I don't know how much, like, I've not seen this anywhere. I know he's been rumored for months, but I don't know how big of an insider is rumoring this. First off, Andy, let me ask you, if you're Chicago, would you move off of Justin Fields? And my second thing would be, would you take him in Tampa?
If I was Chicago, no, but I know Chicago, they're crazy, man. I don't know what they got going on up there, but they're just always making the craziest moves and stuff. Now, they do have, I think of what a lot of this stems from is they do have those 2 top picks in the first round, 2 picks in the top 10. And with like all the quarterbacks that are coming out, of course, there's going to be a lot of people that are rumoring that they're going to take a quarterback and they're going to figure out a way to trade Justin Fields and maybe get another decent pick from him and for him and stuff. And so I get that's where the rumors are. But if I was Chicago, no, I wouldn't stick with him. I'd build around him. And if I would, I don't want him here in Tampa. No, I don't want him. I don't want him here in Tampa. I think that he would be a good fit in Atlanta, but I mean, he'd be fine in Tampa, but I don't know. I mean, I think he should stay. I think he should stay on the Bears. If I were the Bears management,
I strongly disagree, and this is coming from someone that had Justin Fields over Trevor Lawrence in the draft process. I don't see it. I just don't. I mean, that Vikings Monday night game just completely turned me off. So if I'm Chicago, I'm moving on and taking any of those top 3 quarterbacks, which is Jaden Daniels, Drake May, or Caleb Williams, especially if you have that level of draft capital. You're able to reset the rookie, contract timetable. And I am getting the first head coach I possibly could get, whether that be Eric Bieniemy or Jim Harbaugh or someone like that. If I were a head coach and I had the opportunity to go to Chicago with all that cap space, and I get to have an elite rookie quarterback on a rookie contract in a weak-ish division, I think moving off Justin Fields would be brilliant if you're Chicago. But I know the chat would strongly disagree with that. I know some of you are Fields believers, like Andy. I'm just out. I'm just totally out. Not only now, I'll never just be out on football cards, because we saw what the Jake Browning flip looked like a little bit earlier. And even though I was anti-Tua, I should have bought some Tua when he was really low. And we see what's happened, even though he's not skyrocketed. But he's a good quarterback at a good situation. So I'm just gonna never say never about Justin Fields, but I do think the Bears should move off.
All right. Well, I think we diverge there, but that's okay. That's good, man.
Let's go.
I think it's gonna whether he stays or whether he goes, there's gonna be hype around his cards. People are gonna buy in, speculating like, does he go to the Patriots? Even if he goes to Atlanta, like there's gonna be hype there for Justin Fields. And what they do, and there's a lot of eyeballs on Chicago. So, like I was talking to Steve, and I was like, man, I moved down from the upper section at the Buck Stadium because we're playing the Panthers all the way down to the bottom section, like like 50-yard line. Like the stadium was only half full, because we're playing the Panthers and we're barely hanging on by a thread our playoff hopes. But you go to Chicago right now and try and go to a game like that, they're probably still sold out no matter what they do, So it's just a massive difference in the fan base size. And I think Chicago management know they're going to sell out games regardless. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do draft a new young hot quarterback talent. They think that'll probably bring in more fans and more money, and whatever they kind of do, it'll be fine. And they'll just, hey, who knows?
Now we get to hobby tip of the week. And Andy, I'm gonna let you go first, brother.
Yeah, sure. So this one comes via a question from a man thundering sports cards out there.
Okay.
His question is, Carter, how do you put a price on a card that you have the only card that PSA has graded? So your card is a PSA Pop 1. And I think that's a great question. So typically that means you've got a pretty rare card and it's going to be hard to find comps on. So what you do is use the typical rule of thumb is that a PSA 10 is anywhere from 3 to 500% higher than what the raw card variation is. So if you can find a sold comparable card on eBay of it raw, then multiply yours 3 to 500%. Now, you got to figure out who's the player and what's the specific card, because, this could vary greatly. Is it CJ Stroud or, is it Gardner Minshew? I mean, there's just a big difference there in hype, even though, some similarities and stuff. But anyways, that's the general rule of thumb. And then also, can you find someone else in the same draft class that is comparable as well? Can you find another skill position player, if it's a wide receiver, tight end, running back, that's in that same draft class with that same card, maybe in a PSA 10 condition that you can compare to kind of come up with your price, or even a raw one, and then go and apply the 3 to 5x rule on your card to set your price.
Man, Andy, I'm glad you brought that up. When I would really, really, really buying heavy at high volume, I did the 2020 just comparisons, right? And so much of it was, well, Joe Burrows is so much lower than Justin Herbert for a period. I was like, okay, I'm just buying Burrow, right? The draft class comparison thing isn't always perfect because there's different amounts of players that get graded and all that stuff, but it does help you out to understand where you are, especially if it's a Pop 1 super rare in that PSA 10 format. Andy, are you freaking kidding me? I love it. I really do. Now, Andy, in the private chat, I did send you an Instagram post. So if you can put that link up on the screen. So this came from my buddy, the Hitman, Steve Caladesi. And it's kind of tough to see. You can't really blow this up or whatever. But I want your thoughts, Andy, when you look at this from one of your favorite co-signers. So you actually talked and interviewed DC Sports 87 at the National. So give me your thoughts on, and because Caladesi and I talked about this last night, but just your thoughts on the overall volume report here from DC Sports 87.
Yeah, man. So they are crushing it. They're up 4.1% versus prior time period. Their total sales in the past year to date is $45,621,000, and that's up 4% versus prior time period. The quantity sold 1.369 million cards. That's up 22.3%. But the average sale price per item is down to $33.30. That's down 15% over the prior time period. Yeah, that kind of tells me that they've obviously had more items submitted to them for consignment, for resale, that also are more base cards. So I think people are using them more like a COMC nowadays, and there's probably definitely a higher population of just people in general that want to take the legwork out of selling their cards. So they send them to a consigner like DC Sports 87. They got a lot of eyeballs on their auctions. And so they're selling more cards. That's going to therefore drive the total sales up. But there's obviously a higher population of base cards and more common
Right.
cards. And just, I mean, I've gone on some of their Monday night auctions. I'm like, whoa, some of these guys I've never heard of, like guys that don't play anymore, guys from yesteryear, and they're just, people are sending them tons of cards just to move and all kinds of stuff.
That average sale price is very interesting to me because that is a pretty significant dip when everything else is up. So it could just mean that they're selling, more lower end cards there. But it is interesting when you see a big time cosigner, mention this, that not only that is up, but the buyer insights is what's very interesting to me, Andy. To the bottom of this graph right here, you see total buyers, 162,630 total buyers, and repeat buyers make up half of their total of buyers. So, that goes to show you that if you are, a consistent eBay seller, you're probably not at the scale, but the algorithm rewards, people that consistently put out sales. I saw that when I sold a good bit of some of my Justin Jefferson collection before the season. So, yeah, I find this to not be gloom and doom that a lot of people, point out about the hobby. There's still people that are still in it, right? With the way that you hear some influencers talk, you would think, oh, no one's liking this stuff anymore. Then why is DC Sports 87 having more buyers, more sales? You tell me, right? It's crazy. So I thought that was a very interesting graph from someone from someone that sells at that level. So Mr. T asked, what percentage does DC Sports take eBay fees plus their commish? So I guess eBay would probably take 10%, especially at that volume. Andy, they probably have something really special with them. So after all expenses and stuff like that, consignment fees, I would say they probably made 20 million. Probably somewhere in that range. After you take out all of that, would you? I don't know. It's just a guess. But Andy, you've talked to these guys before.
Yeah, and they shared with me all of their numbers and stuff in terms of their fees and what they charge. Yeah, man, they're a good group of people. They've got a great business, and I think it shows in the level of customer service, and then just in the level of customers they have. Loyal customers, return buyers. You saw those return buyers, man. So people like buying from them, and I think a lot of people like submitting with them as well, especially when they want to take the legwork out. I don't remember their fee structure, and but you go. I mean, we don't have any affiliation with them, but go to dcsports87.com and check it out. I mean, they've got
That's crazy, man. So what we need to do, Andy, is quit our full-time jobs and build a football card only DC Sports 87. We'll be DC Sports 97 or whatever. But yeah, it would be interesting to have one of those people on and ask him about their fees and all of that. Hector asked a question about what's the multiplier to PSA 9 in your opinion, Andy, compared to PSA 10.
Depending on the card, it's 1 or 1.5. I would say in some situations you can get like a 1.5. Like we've looked at data from some of the case hits, like optic downtowns, kabooms, marvels, things like that. You can see a 1.5x multiplier, but typically, even on like a base card, it's about a 1 to maybe 1.25, 1.5x tops.
The PSA 9, man, it's just somebody's opinion that drops that off from a 10 to a 9, but it's a big deal. Absolutely big deal, even though that perplexes me until the end of time. Okay.
All right, Carter. Kick back and enjoy this hobby tip of the week
Oh,
from Paul Hickey at nooffseason.com.
What's up, Football Card Quest fam? Paul Hickey here with nooffseason.com, co-host of the Sports Card Strategy Show. My hobby tip of the week this week is look out for sticker auto smears on Bowman Chrome University 2023 football. Check this out. You need to carefully examine your photos on these eBay listings, because on this Marvin Harrison Jr. out of 50 gold auto, you see a smear in the background of his sticker auto. And then in this Drake May auto that I bought, so this is on experience here, you see a Sharpie mark. And the reason why this is happening, I'm hearing, is because they stack the autos on top of one another, and the sticker auto Sharpie has smeared onto the back of many of these cards. I've actually bought 2 of them myself. And now I'm starting to see in other listings that I want to bid on, I'm seeing the smear of the actual sticker auto itself. So you've got sticker auto smears on the front, and then you've got the markings on the back of these, like this Drake May one that I bought. So be careful. Definitely make sure that you're zooming in on the photos, especially on the back of the cards for the Bowman Chrome University 2023 football release. But I've also seen this, guys. I know, even though you're the Football Card Quest audience, I know that you buy cards of other sports, and we cover all sports at nooffseason.com. Bronny James 2023 Topps Chrome All-American release sticker autos. I've seen the smear on Bronny James's front of his sticker auto, as well as the back of some of his cards. And I almost bid on one earlier this week where it actually had a smear on the front and on the back because it had been stacked on top of one another. I'm not sure what Topps is doing here. I think they've got to figure out a way to fix this, because it is a widespread problem that I am seeing in the Bowman U Chrome football 2023 release. I love this release. I love Marvin Harrison Jr. I love Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Drake May. The talent in this release from a first prospect auto standpoint is amazing, but I want to make sure that you guys don't make the same mistakes that I have made and bid and purchase some of these cards with Sharpie markers on the back of them. Everybody, I'm Paul Hickey with nooffseason.com. This is my hobby tip of the week. Andy, Carter, back to you guys.
that makes no sense because it's sticker autos, right? It's not like, you understand what I'm saying, Andy? Like, it would be one thing if the players were signing and then just stacking and sending them, but they're just signing a bunch of stickers and sending them back to Topps, right? So the players aren't ever even touching the card, so it's not even on the players here, right?
Yeah, it's not on the players. Yeah, they're signing a book of stickers, and then Topps is taking those stickers and putting them on the cards. But it makes sense, like, theoretically, because like I remember I had like a shipping label. I put some packing tape, so it's like that kind of like a sticker. I put the packing tape on it, and then I realized, I better scratch out this barcode. So I tried to scratch it out with a Sharpie, and it just smears everywhere. So depending on the type of stickers they used, it sounds like they used the wrong type of stickers that they should use for these cards. And that's going to be a nightmare when grading with PSA, because they're going to come back with that MK marking defect on the card, and it'll knock the grade down as well. So yeah, that's no bueno. But good to know. I didn't know that was happening. I'm going to be definitely looking out for that now.
And then you have the freaking not so great Photoshop job with like some of the Colorado guys. It's just like, it's frustrating, man. It's very, very, very frustrating. Before we get to plays of the week, even though I gave my play of the week, let's go to Hector, one of our most loyal viewers. Current hobby topic: what do you guys think of one-of-one cards getting signed by players, like or dislike? Andy?
That's a very interesting one, man, because one-of-ones are so clean, and they're typically just considered as grail cards by themselves. And an event signed autograph is a potential damaging of the card. I know the players like they try to be careful as they can, but you can imagine approaching a player after practice or something all sweaty, grabbing the card and signing it. Like that's a risky proposition right there, man. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool, especially if it's like a player that doesn't have many autos in the market and they have good penmanship. But some players, it's just like, so I mean, like I've had some cards recently come back to our group submission where PSA is like, we can't authenticate the autograph. And you've seen that happen with Kenny Pickett, where the guy even had the video from when he was at the practice with Pickett.
Right.
And so PSA goes by a specific database of autographs. And if it doesn't have enough of the penmanship, then they just refuse to authenticate it. And if you can't get that 1-of-1 authenticated, then you're screwed, man. That sucks. And then now you're retracting value from it, and you might as well just put it on the wall,
Yeah, I don't know. I've thought about it. Like, if I ever were to run into Tyrann Mathieu, would I want him to sign my 1-of-1 like Black Finite? Wouldn't it look cool with like a silver Sharpie or whatever? Maybe, but I don't know. That's the cool thing about 1-of-1 is the card is the card, right? It doesn't need the autograph to make it special. So you're adding something to a product that is already special, right? I guess it just depends on who you are, right? And what you want. But look, Andy, there's a lot of people that just hate aftermarket autographs. They just do. Like, for some reason, there is a high volume of Justin Herbert Prism cards with aftermarket autos, and they'll get put in PSA slabs, and people would still prefer the sticker auto over the aftermarket auto, even though that one is on card. So it's always a weird thing. So there you go. Let's go to Chad. He's breaking down his consignment fees. He says $100 card ship costs $20 to ship and sell on eBay. That leaves $80. They walk with 68 and I keep 12. So on average for Chad's consignment, per $100 card shipped, he makes $12. So if you're going to do consignment, you got to do it at volume, and you got to know what you're doing too. And you got to have, that algo backdrop, like DC Sports 87. I know what I'm getting, right? I know they have a variety of things. They're just huge, right? So it's always a weird thing with the eBay consignment and stuff like that.
Yeah, shout out to Cloud City Records up there. My man Chad Dyer, a professional eBay seller. But he says he would grade the 1-of-1 every time. I think Hector.
Or sign it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with all the like the PSA stories that come back about them not authenticating an autograph because it doesn't meet their criteria, it just really, really would scare me.
Yeah. So earlier this year, I went to I'll put it like this: I got to hang with Joe Burrow for a little bit, right? So I flew to Cincinnati, and there was a guy who went and met with them briefly, and he got a Kaboom signed by Joe. And this dude got the prettiest Joe Burrow autograph I've ever seen on a card, right? One thing I do want to mention, all right, and this should have been my hobby tip of the week, or did I give one? I didn't give a hobby tip of the week. I don't think I did. Or did I? Andy, I'm getting old.
You were sharing the intel from DC Sports 87. That was kind of.
Oh, yeah. But if you are doing in-person autos, don't just get some random marker. You've got to prep the marker, and you've got to prep the card, because the auto will streak on the card, right? I don't know how to prep though. I'm not the person that's an expert on that. This dude put in a lot of time prepping an orange marker for Joe to sign, and it looked gorgeous, right? But since he was there, he couldn't get an authentication, right? So, like you said, if he sends it off and PSA says, no, this isn't authentic, when I know Joe signed it, like I didn't personally witness the signing, but I'm pretty sure it was his, that would be backbreaking. Absolutely backbreaking. So it's a small risk you take. So to Hector's point, I wish there was like a little sticker that you could put on the card, but then again, that could damage a card. You could put it on the back. They do it like with the white box label, one of ones. You know what I'm talking about, Andy. So it's crazy. Now it is time for play of the week. If you're just joining us, my play of the week, I'm actually going to do a sell play of the week, is if Dak wins versus the Eagles on Sunday, be ready to move some of that Dak Prescott product, because if he beats the Eagles on Sunday, he obviously would likely play well. And I think he moves ahead of Brock Purdy in the MVP race. So I think that would be a good time to move some Dak product. Now, Andy, it's your play of the week.
My play of the week is going to be Jordan Love in the Green Bay Packers. I think you could even potentially stack him with Romeo Doubs. Believe it or not, I've never been big on Romeo Doubs, but man, he seems to come up clutch a lot for the Packers, and he's got good chemistry with Love. And this is the interesting thing. People are like, whoa, hasn't Love gone up a lot in the past 30 days? Well, yeah, he has. If you look at the 30-day trends, he's up 36, 56, 33, 52% on his base Prism PSA 10. But if you go zoom out to the 180, you're like, wait a minute. Actually, the 180, he's actually still down a little bit from where he was at. And so you can see, if you look at this chart using the Prism, because it's had almost 700 sales in the past year. Look at this. Heading into the season, this card was $100, and then it just went so far down. This looks like a $225 buy it now is a real transaction that happened last Monday. So, but there's auctions that end every week, right? So you look, here's an auction that ended Wednesday, 36.35, and we're going to have auctions that end this week, man. We're going to have auctions that end this week. But I think even if you're getting these cards like this one that ended yesterday, buy it now for $69, that's not bad, because you look at the potential, and he's got a lower pop than Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. I think, and Jalen Hurts. He's got he's got a franchise QB future in him. I think I've seen enough now. I was in on him earlier in the season, like when the dip was even lower, and wish I would have bought more, because he's starting to go back up. But looking at the 180-day numbers and the 1-year numbers, he's still down quite a bit, and there's a lot of potential. You look at their upcoming schedule. This is looking like a playoff team, man. So check this out. They've got upcoming the Giants this Monday night in an island game. So I'm loving this, because this is a Monday night game. It's an island game at the Giants. This is a weak defense. This is going to be set up perfect for him to go off again. Then they get the Buccaneers, whose secondary has been gashed all year, at home. And then they go at Carolina, who's the worst team in the NFL. And then they go at Minnesota in another island game. And then finally finish the season against Chicago. So it's like, man, this final 5-game stretch for Jordan Love and the Packers could see his cards go up another 50 to 60% in value, especially with a playoff run following that, combined with the Green Bay Packers fan base and everything else. It's a very, very interesting play. And then you have like the rest of his career in front of him. And if it doesn't work out and you just hold it, till next season, they're going to be hyped up again.
Yeah, the only thing is I don't think next Monday night's an island game. I think they're doing like a simultaneous Monday Night Football.
Yeah, it is a doubleheader. You're right.
But your point still stands. More people sit and watch full games. It's not a red zone kind of thing. Let me say this. As far as like the chat is concerned, just don't be condescending. All right, don't curse a bunch. Don't be condescending. Okay. The funny thing about it is Tank Dell is a great fantasy play. He just got hurt. Okay. But it's important, to it's okay if you disagree with me or Andy or anyone in the chat, but don't be condescending, especially if you have a hot take that Caden Slater is better than Caleb Williams. Now, Andy, here's why that's hilarious. Okay. Number one is that's not true. I don't think that. Would you take Caden Slater over Caleb Williams, Andy?
No.
All right. The second thing is Caden Slater doesn't exist. Okay. He's trying to say Caden Salter. So if you're going to change your name, at least get the guy's name right. Okay. Because Caden Slater doesn't exist. All right. So if you're coming with the hot takes and you're going to be condescending, get your shit in order before you do that. I don't mind a good hot take though. But there you go. And I have a good idea who Caden Slater is anyway. But I know he can handle the heat. But yeah, I'm a Tank Dell believer. I'm a big Tank Dell believer. But I will also say this to Caden Slater's point, or Caden Salter. I know who it is, by the way. If it was someone just anonymous, I probably wouldn't have done that. I do agree with what he said about PSA a minute ago. Is PSA the best? Yes, it's the absolute best. Okay. I will also say it's never healthy that they have such a stranglehold on all of it. Right. And look, I love PSA. I do. Most of my slabs, as you can see in the background, are PSA slabs. But I'm also open to SGC, CSG, all that stuff. So yeah, Andy, I know we talk about this ad nauseum, but still, it's always a fascinating debate.
Always fascinating debate. And just remember, in sports cards, you've got all these auctions ending on a weekly basis. So, and I'll say I traded Dalton Kincaid for Tank Dell in Dynasty earlier in the season. And dude, guy came through clutch because I also drafted CJ Stroud in the same league. So I wanted to go ahead and stack him with Tank Dell, and I've been happy about it. There's obviously a couple weeks, but I already had Evan Ingram, I think it was, at tight end. So I didn't really need the duplicate tight end presence from Dalton Kincaid. Plus, when Dawson Knox comes back, I think Dalton Kincaid, his target share goes down and his production will go down. So I like Tank Dell. The guy will play fullback if you ask him. Put his body on the line, play fullback, baby. Let's go.
But it's all love in the chat. But I do agree. I do agree with him on PSA and how much of a stranglehold they have. Now I know there are some big PSA truthers in here that they honestly can do little wrong. So wait, I love how CGC doesn't grade autos unless they witness them. That's crazy. That's
yeah. I really like certain things about CGC that they do. I'm really impressed with. So yeah, they're and right now they've got about the same foothold in the hobby as SGC, especially with the new labels that they have. They're doing a great job, and they've got, being backed by the oldest coin and paper money grading company in the world. I mean, it's got a really good reputation as well. So another great option in the grading market.
I was waiting to get this confirmed here, but Doug Peterson says Trevor Lawrence doesn't believe Trevor Lawrence will need the tightrope surgery, which is what Brock Bowers had in college and what Kenny Pickett just underwent for a high ankle injury. So Trevor Lawrence is week to week. Okay. So
That's
there
not
you go.
bad.
Mm.
That's
All right.
promise.
We'll see you next Tuesday. Now, of course, we'll see you in the chat as well. Okay. Come on, football season, backup quarterback season. Let's go. We'll see you next week,
Backup
y'all.
corner.
Peace.
Peace.